Management is really important. It's a really big part of business operations, and we treat it almost as a standalone focus area because of that. Because, as Ray so succinctly pointed out, your entire business depends on it. Your ability to service that clientele depends on raising those funds, right? I mean, you can't have one without the other. But donor management is particularly interesting because your whole donor management system kind of stands at the intersection of all of these other capabilities in the organization, and they all need to work together. So it's a really, really good place to think about what are we doing and how are we doing it, and how is it impacting, if nothing else, our ability to raise money. So that's a little bit how I'm going to focus today's presentation, is on that top line, okay? So that gets us in this whole issue of efficiency, and I had a couple of questions over the break on that. These processes that we're talking about, if you're going to buy into what I'm saying, how many of you buy into what I'm saying, that all these processes are mission critical? Did I sell you? Okay, good. All right. So all these processes are mission critical. So why aren't our funders paying us to do them? You know, I mean, does anybody else see the disconnect here? What's up with that? All right. The problem is this. The funders, our customers, our clients and our funders are our customers, if you will, okay? Just don't see the value, okay? To them, what adds value to what we're doing is that social outcome. That's what they're willing to pay for. To them, what adds value is, you know, that roof over their head, or that meal, or that nursing service, or that elderly care service that we're providing. That's the value. They're not educated to the point where they understand that the cost of delivering that service is much more than just the $8 or $10 or $12 an hour that the person who's delivering the service gets paid, okay? They just don't know. And so oftentimes it's up to them, it's up to us almost, to help them understand that. So again, our funders just have an unrealistic view. Okay? They're not evil, they're not cruel, they're just unrealistic. So in order for us to deal with this, we have to run that side of our operation as efficiently as possible. Okay? But we still have to do it in a way that's effective. There's a lot of different ways we can do this. Here are some of them. Outsourcing. Payroll processing, okay, is a really typical place that people outsource because it's extraordinarily inefficient to do it in-house. And if you've ever made a mistake on your payroll tax deposits and gotten that big bill from the Internal Revenue Service, okay, you know you just paid for 4 years worth of payroll processing service. Plus, but the whole idea of outsourcing is to do what you're good at and then let somebody else do what they're good at, okay? Because it's going to be cheaper for them to do it than it is for you to try. And we run the numbers around these things all the time, and we inevitably find that there are a lot of processes that, and it doesn't matter if that's small businesses, and I'm really focusing this on small businesses now because I think most of you are fairly small. Most small businesses don't have a deep enough staff. We just don't have the bench strength to know how to do everything. And so it's expensive and inefficient for us to try. People spin their wheels, they make mistakes. You know, in the worst case, it costs us penalties and fees. So we look at this and we really can do a real ROI investment, not rocky, like what Parker was talking about, but return on real dollars. How much does it save us to have somebody else do this? So that's one approach to being more efficient. We touched on this already, investment in technology and software, okay? How many people run QuickBooks in this room? Okay. How many people think that every month at the end of the month, the reports that they got out of QuickBooks are exactly what they need for their board? How many people have staff people or themselves spending hours and hours doing Excel spreadsheets to get what they need for their board because QuickBooks won't give it to them? How efficient is that? Okay. So there are ways to move beyond some of the software packages that are available to us, and we can really, with very little effort, streamline our operations and be much more effective and use our time where our time is valuable. If you're an ED that's managing, training your staff, raising money, talking to donors, okay, interfacing with your board, motivating people, not sitting behind a spreadsheet all day long, okay? Now, QuickBooks is great, don't get me wrong, and for very small organizations, sometimes it's really the best solution. But as you grow, it's like anything else. You tend to grow out of it and you need another solution, and inevitably, you don't realize that until you've been struggling for a while. This goes with your donor management software as well. There's a lot of good donor management tools out there that really aren't very effective as you grow. So there needs to be some thought given. It needs to be done in a thoughtful way in terms of how do we want all this to work together? How many people's donor management software works and puts information directly into their accounting system? One. Okay? But that one proves that it can be done. And if you have any idea how much time, that saves, and how much more accurate all of your information is because of it.
Yeah. I hear you, but I work with a lot of nonprofits as a consultant, and they really feel that they have to have separate databases.
I know they do.
Okay.
That's why I'm standing up here doing all of this. Yes.
That makes sense. Then you have to put it over here and then put it over here.
Yeah, but you can actually have them talk to each other. It can be two different donor databases, and they can talk to each other. It actually does happen, and we have somebody in the back of the room who's actually doing it. So that'd be great. Maybe she'll stay for questions afterwards. Okay. Hiring the right people. This is the hard one. This is hard in all small businesses, not just not-for-profit businesses. I run a small business. We're less than $10 million a year. This is not huge in the scheme of things. Been around for a long time. I've had the same people for a very long time. Okay. Every once in a while, I have to make a decision that I've got somebody who we've just sort of passed them by. Okay. That they're not effective in that position anymore, and I've had to make changes. It's extraordinarily painful. But it's no different in a not-for-profit environment than it is in a for-profit environment, because if people aren't efficient and effective in their jobs, then we're not going to be efficient and effective in delivering our mission. Okay? So this is a big one, and it's hiring them and then training them. Okay? There's a lot of training resources in town. Parker's been talking about them. I'm actually developing the business operations and financial management curriculum for the program that he's talking about at UCSD Extension. And I think over the course of the next year or so, this is going to be very, very powerful stuff. And if anybody has questions on that, I'd be happy to answer them after the session. But training is going to be really critical because the landscape, as you're going to see as we move through this, is getting more and more and more complicated. It's not getting simpler out there, guys. It's getting harder. And then we have to measure the right things. I forget who it was that said this, but what is not measured cannot be managed, right? And so oftentimes we're not measuring things that really we want to be measuring. And at the end of the day, that affects our ability to take care of our mission. So this is all geared toward that end goal. We want to know that outcome is that mission. How are we going to get there? This is how. The right answer, of course, depends on your organization, what kind of business you're in. Okay? So everybody's going to be a little different in how they approach this particular problem. So there's no cookie cutter here. We have to look at every organization, what the funding streams are, what the outcome goals are, and then we sit down and we figure out how we're going to get there. And everybody's going to be different. There is no one solution that makes sense for everybody. That's too bad, but that's just the way it is. And this, unfortunately, is absolutely true. And I'm not just pointing out non-for-profits here. I'm pointing at for-profit organizations as well. People try to get by, okay? And in the end, it doesn't work. So being a little proactive and looking down the road in terms of where we're trying to get and what it's going to take to get there, and justifying those investments, whether it be in staff or technology or training, or just what we've talked about around here is capacity, infrastructure, really does make a difference. In the worst case, you can't deliver on your mission. Okay? In the worst case, I see people calling me up going, well, we think we're break even, but we can't get QuickBooks to print the financial statements. And I go down there and we help them out a little bit, and we find out not only are they not break even, but they've been losing several, tens of thousands of dollars every month. And they're wondering why they're out of money and they can't make payroll. And and they're not able to go out and take care of the things that they want to take care of in the community because they're too busy